Welcome to the Wellness Revolution podcast, the radio show all about wellness in your mind, body, spirit, personal growth, sex, and relationships. Stay tuned for weekly interviews featuring guests that have achieved physical, mental, and spiritual health in their lives. If you'd like to have access to our entire back catalog, visit drveronica.com for instant access. And here's your host, Dr. Veronica.
So here we are at another episode of the Wellness Revolution. My dog Artemis is with me today, but I also have a gentleman who was in the U.S. Navy. And today we're going to talk about life purpose. Why are we talking about life purpose on the health? Because a lot of people, when you're unhappy and you're not fulfilling your life purpose, you feel like, well, what am I here for? And it's one of the top questions that people have. But once you figure out what you believe you should be doing it, how do you put it into action? So Randrick Chance, or we call him just Chance because he used to the military background, is my guest today. And we're going to talk about putting your life purpose into action, because this is where the rubber meets the road. So Randrick, thanks a lot for being on the Wellness Revolution. Just give us a little bit about your background, because I think we all find military background fascinating. We all respect it. We don't want people to be out fighting wars, but we do respect people who've decided to serve. So tell us a little bit about, I know you're also from an island, a Caribbean island, so that's exciting. So how did you end up from the Caribbean island in the U.S. Navy?
Okay, well, awesome. Well, Dr. Veronica, it's wonderful to be on your show. This is awesome. I like your tribe and what you are doing, what you stand for, what you represent. I was born and raised in a beautiful Caribbean island called St. Vincent. Very small island, but I think you should check it out, especially if you're from a cold region in this country. So I came to the U.S. in about 96, thereabout. And of course, my dad, my mom, everyone was pretty much here in the U.S. And that's our opportunity. My main goal was to come here and to get an education, like most people do. But one of the things that scared me out of my wits end was the amount of student loan I needed to take out to go to school. So I learned about the Navy and that they will be able to pay for your tuition and so forth. And that was all I needed. I didn't understand anything about the military, but it was a wonderful experience. I mean, I got to travel to many different countries, and the military really gave me a foundation and started me on having core values like honor, courage, and commitment. I still live by those Navy core values today. So I spent exactly 7 years and 7 months in the Navy to the T. And I got out because at that time I underwent, I would say, like a spiritual transformation. And I kind of wanted to serve more and wider and at a deeper, more intrinsic level. So when I got out in 2005, I joined a nonprofit in Huntsville, Alabama. And I did that again for another 7 years, surprisingly. And I was able to travel all over the world. We've traveled now to over 25 different countries, primarily in Africa, Southern Africa too as well. And we do a lot of outreach. We train young people in service-oriented projects and so forth and whatnot. So that's a little bit of my journey there.
So you're an entrepreneur, but a humanitarian entrepreneur. So talk a little bit about, you said I had a spiritual transformation. What does that mean? Give us a little bit of background about that spiritual transformation.
And that's part of my big why, by the way. If people wonder, yeah, you entrepreneur and why you're doing that stuff. But I think I had two perspectives. Once I got out the military and joined this nonprofit, I think I'm a rounded person now because of having these two worlds, I guess, that I can now blend as one, corporate and, nonprofit that is more intrinsic. So yeah, I mean, I grew up, of course, like many people in a religious home and everything like that, but I kind of got away from those kind of roots. But I would say there came a point in the military where I think I was lost, I would say, in myself. I was just living the way everyone else was living, and I was kind of just wasting money, my dreams. I was behind on my dreams, behind on my goals, the reason why I went into the service. So those type of things, I did well. I excelled. I got swift promotions for my age. I was one of the youngest for my rank on the ship where I was stationed in Guam. But at the same time, me personally, my identity was being eroded. So it took me on a journey of reading and studying for about 3 years. And then I find that to be where I got connected with what I truly believe, what I value in life. I call for me God. I understood him for myself rather than just what I was taught. I get a better understanding for me. So I say, you know what? I believe that this is more in line with what I'm called to do and to be. So I want to be able to serve. I love serving the country. I love all that the military stood for and stands for today and what it taught me. But for me, I wanted to help serve people in a different way. I wanted to help humanity, as it were. So yes, humanitarian. And that gave me the greatest fulfillment ever. I mean, truly, I just don't know. That really, and I find that many people are still struggling to discover their purpose, but sometimes that's what we can talk about. It really, we have to check back a little bit and start thinking seriously about where we are going, what are our values.
Okay, so you said I wanted to help humanity. And a lot of people say, I want to help people, I want to serve people. And that's so big and non-specific. Mm-hmm. So what does serving humanity look like for you specifically? And then I want to talk a little bit about how you honed in on figuring out exactly what you want to do. So what does it look like for you, serving humanity?
Okay, well, for me specifically, it's twofold. One is I like to help the poor, the less fortunate, because growing up as well in the Caribbean, we were poor. And so, but I really did not understand poverty truly. Even though we were poor, we were happy. We were super excited. We do well in school. But when I went to Africa in 2007, that really just changed my whole view of poverty. I'm like, we weren't poor. I mean, we didn't have everything we needed, but we were not truly poor, because I saw poverty up real, and I saw the difference that money can make, where we're not just giving people money, but we are empowering them to change their lives, to be able to be self-reliant. And not only that, but in certain parts of Southern Africa, they have a saying where, Africans don't volunteer or give back. And so we were able to change that stigma with some of the young people. We've trained over 1,000 young people to be able to, so we say, we take students from the US, from the university where we were at in Alabama, and we would go to these places for like 2 months sometimes, and we would just serve, we would do health, medical programs and these type of things. But when we leave those places, we empower those youth and we continue to support and fund them as much as they're able to expand. So we don't have to keep going back to those areas, because it takes more money for someone to go from the US than for these locals to do the work themselves. So that's what it looks like for me. On the other level now is for me to help other people to discover their true giftings and their true passions, because I know that if we love and are happy with what we are doing, even if the money might not be there, but we can bring some kind of balance to both making money and being fulfilled. And I think I have found that kind of, symmetry.
Yes. So I understand about serving. Obviously, I'm a physician, but I had a practice that was very big and successful. But how people found me was basically they looked me up on their insurance panel. And they rolled into my office because I took their insurance. And that wasn't very fulfilling to me. I wanted people to come to me because they thought I was good and I was liked me. Well, I switched careers, and how did I end up doing shows and people see me all over the place on TV and on radio and everything like that? Well, once you leave where people have to decide they know, like, and trust you and decide to make an investment, and it's not just oh, you take my insurance, the whole game changes. So the goal is still to help people. It's just, I don't help people in the same way. So you got to find me. And so people say, well, how'd you end up doing what you do? Because people have to know who I am and find me and know the services I provide. So you have a little bit of advice about how people find you. I know you're a best-selling author, a #1 best-selling author. We both are I'm a 3-time #1 best-selling author, which quite interestingly is something I don't talk about a whole lot in my health career, because my books are about entrepreneurship and business, not necessarily about health. I'm in the process of writing my first health book now. We're going to make that a #1 too.
Come on
but
now.
I found that switching from the model of people just come to me because it's a past least resistance to people have to know, like, and trust me, it was all about putting a particular message out there. And I was so good at putting the message out there, people started asking me about how do you put the message out there and how do you get found and how do you build a business from where you were to where you are now, that I started teaching some of the principles to other people and realized, I got this, I'm good. I studied it like I went through medical school. So talk about a little bit about, you're doing humanitarian work, you're helping the world in a different way, but you help also other people figure out their purpose. So let's talk a little bit about your process of helping people find their purpose.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's not just simply do what you love. I mean, that's a big part of it, but sometimes even that requires a journey. And I believe that, whatever we go through in life, it's not just wasted, because honestly, for some people, it happens differently. I don't want it to happen that way. For example, some people might have an accident, for example, or life-threatening disease, and that was their wake-up moment. But I say, if that's what it took and you actually got awakened, hey, you know what? Be happy and thankful for that. But I think if we consciously decide that we want to change. So for me, it starts first with a decision, deciding that, okay, this is where I am. Mm-hmm. I don't really like that. This is where I want to be. And so then I take a simple process. I call it input, IPR process, input plus process equal result. So, we always many people want to get to a certain destination, but I say, we have to consider the destination, but what is the process you are willing to go through, right? Like, you're a physician, many people want to get healthy, many people want to be well, but sometimes we don't want to take the process that you recommend or that system that might help to get them there. There are many ways to that, but at the same time, what I figured, like, for example, going to exercise, we all know we need to do that, but again, it's just difficult to get ourselves to do that because of mindsets and beliefs. So I say, find a system, find a process that you can, get through this. And there are many, like what you are teaching. You have many different perspectives than most people out there, which I commend you, because with your background, your credentials, your pedigree, that's a mover and shaker right there. That's like really stepping outside the box. And so I watched the video as well, and I'm like, I know it had to take some serious courage. So one is decide.
That's funny. I know it had to take some serious courage. And so being the doctor was the easy part. And people say, oh my God, it's so hard to be a doctor. The courage to step out and do it differently, and then speak about some of my unique abilities, which some people consider woo-woo, was so very hard for me. It was very hard to be courageous and actually say, here's how I really can help people. That's my medical intuitive side, which I realized that this is really a core genius and a core talent for me. Okay. So did it take you time to go from military background that everybody understands to, I'm going to help the world and teach people how to, help poor people?
Yeah, I mean, and interesting, like you said, I think it is always going to be, something that requires some courage at some point, because I guess many people in your tribe might be people who are already like influential, or they might have, status in the world, as we say, or corporate. And for those individuals, I know it really is hard going against the pedigree or the grind. So for me, it even came to a point where I had to stop telling people that I was getting out of the military, because when I decided to do it, I mean, I was getting resistance. I'm like, man, you just got promoted and now you can be doing this. You don't have to work as much. You just give orders. And so I'm like, wow. I mean, I felt like what's going on here? I thought you guys would be happy for me. So after a while, I just cut it out. I just said, you know what? That's it. I'm just going to pursue what I believe. And everything didn't fall in line. But like I said, once I started taking the initial steps towards that, then I say, for example, I didn't work for 7 months. First time I really, since I began working in my adult life, that I've ever been broke. I mean, I went down to less than zero in my life. And you know what? It was a great experience. So I tell people, I say that was one of the experiences that even helped me to fall more deeper in love with my wife, because she stood by me during those months and period where because I was pursuing what I believed to be true. She didn't give me no, hey man, you're supposed to be the man of the house, you're supposed to be working, taking care of us, those kind of, so that was totally out. And that gave me liberty.
That was going on in your head. It probably wasn't going on in her head. So you had to fight that going on in you to be able to trust your wife. And that's, I understand that. And my husband's been through a career transition where it was just very hard for him, because to get to the point where there's nothing in the bank account and your particular bank account, and you have to say, baby, I need some money. I mean, that's very difficult.
It is.
For men to be able to do, and on the other side,
a
wife to be able to step back and not say anything, not necessarily give the advice, to basically say, oh, okay, sure, baby, here it is, and no judgment or anything like that, and not coach. Wives want to coach their husbands. Husbands want to coach their wife. Stand back as a wife and not coach. And then as a husband and realize, we're partners and I have to depend. And we said for better or for worse. And this is a for worse. This is not for worse. To be able to do that, it's very humbling, isn't it?
It really is. But like I said, the appreciation level went up so high. And again, the Navy core values, again, that's why when we get in touch with what do we truly believe and value: honor, courage, commitment. Because even to step out, even though I learned those values there, I had to say, do I have the courage to actually leave the military? Do I have the courage to actually pursue? Not only that, would I do it with integrity? I didn't want to leave with bad stain. I mean, I got the highest possible, discharge and everything like that. But I didn't leave with any bad blood either. I just said after a while, no more of that. So deciding, and then having the courage and honor your values, honor your heart, honor what you believe in, and just go forward. Once you take the first step, other steps will appear. Sometimes we want the big picture, but we have to start taking. So I did not know it was going to unfold like that until, like we said, I went to, in 2007, I went overseas to Zimbabwe. And I just fell in love with Africa. Every year I want to go. I just kept going, And so I wouldn't say that would have been my original plan, but it's in line with what I wanted to do. And that is what set me on the road to where I am today.
So you talk about, oh my gosh, it didn't just appear. And there was that time, it sounds like it was dark, where you had to jump from what you were doing, which was a very stable situation that you could have done till whenever you decided you wanted to retire. And then you jumped and there was nothing there. And usually there's the time when you jump and people, especially if people say, God will catch you. But no, it gets dark and you smack the ground and it hurts.
Oh, yes.
Tell me a little bit about that smacking the ground and how you got up, dusted off, and kept going and demonstrated true faith that when after you smacked the ground, you were supposed to smack the ground and move forward.
Yeah, and that's true. You making it like that because you're right. Something, take a leap and the stuff will appear. Yeah, it don't always appear. But one thing I learned, what get me through those times to help me get up really is there's a saying, I don't remember exactly where I heard it, but it pretty much says, when you don't know what to do what you know to do. Like, so if you don't know what to do, well, what do you know to do at this point? And just follow that, right? So again, my biggest thing, because my self-image was tied a lot to finances, that's the reality. So not having money to me was really the dark moment and my lowest, because I just couldn't see myself. Here I am as an adult. I'm supposed to be successful. I was driving this kind of car and that kind of stuff. And now I don't have none of that. Man, I can't even pay my bill, right? And so that was humiliating. It was humiliating. But what kept me going again was, I know I made a decision. Chance, if you made a decision, you're going to stick by it, because it's true. It's good. You're not harming nobody. You actually want to help people. So you're not doing anything that is a crime. You are following what you truly believe. And that support group, at that time, it was really just my wife. But I find people, you have to find like-minded people who believe, who will treasure you, who will help to uplift you, and just go around them, even for a word. Call up somebody, say, hey, right now I'm done. I just tell me something,
Okay. So I want to switch over a little bit to the practical. You talk about creative ways of monetizing your skills today. And that's what we all want to know. We have skills. How can we actually monetize our skills quickly versus losing a lot of money? And I've done it. I know most of my entrepreneurial friends have done it, but there are some people who figure out how to monetize their skills. Talk a little bit about that. That's your core genius.
Yeah, I think what happens is, again, when people figure out this part, though, because if we're not in line with who we truly want to be, because you can be monetizing, but monetizing the wrong thing and still be unhappy. So I first say, okay, monetizing your skill is, what are you good at already? And it's easy to look at least three ways. Look at your education experiences and your expertise, right? Because experiences, for example, like I had an experience in the military. I call it the spiritual transformation, that enlightenment period where I finally, boom, I got this light. And so that took me on a different tangent to earn money in a different way, but now with a stronger why. So with this why, no one can turn me around. So your case, for example, I mean, you can monetize your stuff in many ways, right? But this is one of the ways you are using it. And the online world is right now one of the best ways that people can monetize their skills. So figure out, and there are tests that you can do that help you out, the Strength Finders 2.0, Colby, Myers-Briggs, all these different things that can be an assessment. But don't count out the sound of your heart. Like, that really is the true north, as it were, to help you to really figure out, am I in line with what I want to do? So everybody has skills. We all do. Leverage it is the word is what I love. So maybe let's say someone loves their job. I mean, everyone don't have to leave their jobs, but if you leverage your skills, can you be able to get out of debt? Can you be able to take a vacation? Can you be able to sponsor charities or start your own nonprofit? These type of things. So that's why I leverage my skills, because again, I want to be able to reach beyond. I want to be able to do greater things. I want to teach people about health. I'm not into health like you are, but I do. Every Thursday, I'm wearing a shirt right now. Every Thursday, we have classes for people who want to not only lose weight, but especially master here. And so I bring in different people to teach those classes. And I do some of the teaching, but not a whole lot, right? So monetizing your skills right now, I figure every one of us, especially those who are professionals, I think we are leaving monies on the table.
Okay, but where do we start specifically? Because people say, all right, well, when I quit my ophthalmology career, I was like, what am I going to do? I can't do anything besides be an ophthalmologist. That's all I'm trained to do. So give us a little bit of give us not a little bit of, give us a big concrete example. And I'm a doctor, so don't use me because people say you're a doctor, that's easy.
I got
Don't use me. There's other people out there who don't have a skill like doctor behind them. You were in the Navy. That sounds great, but what skill and how do you monetize exactly? You talked about how do you hone in on skills with assessments, but then now I know what skills I have. What is step one?
So yes, and that's exactly what I cover in my book, Monetize Your Skills, right? I mapped out a 7-step process, and they all begin with these. So let me try to go through real quick. So the first step is, like we say, define. First of all, you must define what exactly are your gifts and talents, right? What do you bring to the table? So, and I give some exercises and some of those things, like, take some of these tests if you can't figure it out, but try the 3 ways: education, expertise, experiences, right? So let's just say now you've gotten that figured out. The next thing now, after we have, discovered our gifts, we define who will benefit from what I know. So if I have expertise in, let's say, writing, okay, now I can say, okay, there are people who maybe want to use their dissertation, for example, for those in academia, they can take their dissertation and turn it into a book. We take that book, turn it into a course. We take that course, turn it into consulting, and so forth. And you create a whole system, right? And so after you define now who exactly will benefit from my particular skill, so you're now going to map out, for me, for example, this book, I particularly like to deal with professionals and small business owners and those aspiring to be entrepreneurs, because I know those people are already on a certain tip and a certain mindset, right? But I mean, people who are doing dissertations and their master's thesis, I say, why do you have your stuff sitting down in an institution, a university? Nobody is really seeing it. It's just there. You did all that work for it. Why don't you just put it in something that can be a blessing to other people? Leverage it, sell it, promote it, consult on it, coach on it, train on it, do whatever, but don't just let it sit down in a university, right?
So let's talk about something that's near and dear to our heart, is writing a book or being part of a book. One of the biggest ways, I think 80% of the US population says they would like to write a book, but we both know that very few people actually bring that desire to fruition. So talk to people a little bit about writing a book and how it happens. And most of the time the books stay in people's heads and they never, and I hear people say, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to get there. I need to clear some time, but we figured out a quick and simple way to actually get it done.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about writing a book, because I know a lot of people would like to start with their book before they launch their new vision.
Right. And that's step number 3. Step number 3 is really about designing now your product offering, your system, your book, your course, whatever it is. So we take in the book, right? So a book, to me now, is the new business card. A book, especially, it gives you credibility. It's the greatest lead generation. I mean, it does all of those things, because everybody still value a book today. And even with ebooks out there, I mean, you still need a printed book. And so even there, I went to a networking event and I absolutely didn't take any business cards at all, right? And so I took my books there, and from that I already have like four potential customers and so forth, right? I'm supposed to have a speaking engagement this Thursday, and then another seminar that's happening in the fall because of just that simple strategy of using my book. So for example, I'd like to give examples. This is one of my friends here that I've encouraged him for 5 years to write a book, right? So again, I said, write about what you know, right? Don't try to write something complex. You don't need a lot of research. You write about what you know, and we went through some of the steps that we're familiar with. He wrote his book, right? Set on Fire. And now when you go on his website, what he did to monetize it further is that he has a clothing line that goes with this, right? He's created an online course. And not only that, but he recently got a proposal for $10,500 to be able to do this teaching, for one of the neighboring schools where he lived, right? This other, actually, we're talking about physician as well, so sorry, but here's another physician that I just work with. Now, she had a dream just to write a book, like you said, and it was just not happening. She saw one of my blog posts online. She took my course on how to write books. And I challenged in the course, I said, listen, in 2 weeks, you can actually get your stuff done. She did it in 6 days.
Woo, yes.
And in less than a month, we were able to take her book, make it a #1 bestseller. But how do we monetize it? Because again, like I said, as a professional, she already has a practice. But I say, you can add at least an extra 6 figures to your business without disrupting your business. So we take this book, and at the end of this book, when people are now get into her funnel, they're able to get a DVD package for $59. And then she has a monthly program where I say, listen, you have, you know, I won't call how many patients she has, but I say, if only 300 of them get a monthly subscription for $29.95, that's another 6 figures right there added to your business. And we also now in the process of taking it to the next level in making it an online course. So that's really how a book, you can wrap a book around your business or create a whole new business out of a book.
Yes. So you and I know the secrets to writing books and writing them quickly. And for people out there writing or thinking about writing books, I want to say to you one thing: get it done and get it done quick. And don't write everything you ever knew in life into one book. Most books that people read are 80 pages or less. So if you come out with a really big book like this, nobody's going to read it. If you have 10 chapters and it's 800 pages, you need that to be 10 different books. So you need to think of it like there. People are busy today. They're not going to stay with your book. You want to give it to them so that they can consume it and actually change their life. So think about doing a shorter book or an overview type book, and then going into other books and making products and things like that. I'm telling people this because in your mind is, how do I do this? And we just said you can do a book in 6 days, in 2 weeks, in 2 months. It doesn't have to take years to do the book, and there's a way to do it quick and simple and easy. So for people out there thinking about the career change, like Artemis is not thinking about the career change, but people out there thinking about the career change, then think about getting the book done. And I mean, you know, this is type of stuff. If you're a doctor and you want some doctor tips, I can help you. I got a book. I got a book for doctors. That's my best-selling book. It's for doctors about moving it over and getting it done. For everybody else, you have a gentleman who's been in the U.S. Navy who talks about getting it done. And you know, people in the military know how to implement, be disciplined, and get it done. And some of us, a doctor and a military guy, will help you stay disciplined to get it done, and discipline for a short period of time so that you don't put your life on hold forever.
Yes.
So parting words, we want to say, okay, so parting words. Oh, wait, come here, Artemis. Come here. Say some parting words to the audience too. Everybody, I know you enjoy watching my doggy here. He's like my 2-year-old, okay? He's my 2-year-old guy. So parting words about, tell me the name of your book again. Monetize your skills.
There you go. Monetize your skills. Monetize your skills. And actually, you talk about that disciplined, you know, implementation. So right now, actually, if people go to monetizeyourskills.com, what I have there, I'm actually taking people on a 100-day journey to actually produce either a book or a course in 100 days, right? And so we have some folks right now that we're doing that. So every 100 days, I'm going to be doing that because, like you said, some folks, they're just complicated, right? So know that it is possible. All things are possible. I'm here as a living witness. My first book took me 5 years, but all my other books, it was weeks and days. Actually, one book took me a whole entire night to do. I did a book for military veterans, interestingly. It was Transition to Civilian Life with Confidence, helping military people to also use their training and expertise to start a career or business. That book took me 1 hour because I spoke the entire book and it was done, right? I didn't have to touch it again. So if you need help in that regards, like I said, go to monetizeyourskills.com, check out the book, and we can help you in 100 days we're going to give you exercises. We're going to hold you by the hand. We're going to help you get it done. But in 100 days, you can get a book or a course done, or even both together if you take action. Pardon words, Dr. Veronica, I would say, listen, believe in yourself that what you have is valuable. Do not downplay your gifts, your talents, your expertise. Somebody needs to hear your voice. If you have to check back for a while, a weekend, a week even, it's worth taking the time to really get in tune with who you are and what you want to do in life. Life is too short, right? I just did actually a funeral last Friday, right? Last year, I did more funerals in my life than I've ever done before. It was just, you know, and always I hear the regrets. Many people who cry at funeral are not crying because of the passing of the loved one. They're crying especially because of the regrets. I wish. And so every time I always end, I know it's a sad moment, but I always end those funeral eulogies with, knowing this person's experience, how are you now going to live your life? They can live on in you if you now would wake up and actually live out the rest of your life the way you believe it ought to be lived. So that's what I'm saying. And I hope that you guys will be able, I would hope to read your message one day, learn from you one day, meet with you one day, but I wish you all the best.
Monetize your skills. MonetizeYourSkills.com. Also look at the show notes, because we all have to eat. We all have to pay our bills. Men would not like to have to ask their wife for money. And so therefore, we got to monetize those skills, because this is the currency that we use. Yes. Feel good about monetizing what you love. Just because you love it doesn't mean you got to go broke doing it. So thank you so much for being on the Wellness Revolution.
Thank you for listening to the Wellness Revolution podcast. If you want to hear more on how to bring wellness into your life, visit drveronica.com. See you all next week. Take care.